Ross Underwood from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Had Mr. Perfect not left the WWF in late 1996, could you have seen him coming back to wrestling and being a main eventer and possibly WWF champion, or were his best days behind him? When Perfect came back in early 2002, what was the reason for putting other guys over on him and him hardly winning any matches or being in any major storylines? I've always thought a Mr. Perfect versus Kurt Angle match at WrestleMania 18 in Canada could have been better instead of wasting Kurt Angle against Kane. I agree 100% with you. Perfect came back at the Royal Rumble in 2002. I was psyched. I was stoked. I was always a big Mr. Perfect fan growing up, and not so much a Curt Hennig fan in WCW. I wanted to hear the Mr. Perfect music, and I wanted him to come out there as Mr. Perfect. And he came out, and he was one of the last 3 or 4 guys in the Rumble that year. He had a great performance. He hung in there with Austin and Angle and Triple H there at the end before he got dumped out. And it seems like after that, they did nothing with him. He had one match on Raw against Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't remember how soon after the Rumble it was. It couldn't have been that long after. Maybe within a month or 2. I remember that match not being very good, and I think it was just Perfect was not the Perfect that he used to be. He may have had other issues. He may have been doing things he shouldn't have been doing that led in part to his death the following year. They did find, I think he died from acute cocaine intoxication, I think is what he officially died from. So who the hell knows what he was doing at that time? No drug testing policy in WWE, right? It was the Wild West compared to how it is now. He wasn't the Mr. Perfect that he had been, but I think motivated in the right feud with the right opponent on a grand stage like WrestleMania, absolutely. Curt Hennig against Kurt Angle, Perfect against Angle would have been a great match. There was no reason for them not to do the match. Kurt Angle and Kane was not a feud that really went anywhere. It was not a feud that people were dying to see. Kurt Angle and Kane had one really, really good match together, maybe even great, for the U.S. title on SmackDown. I want to say that was in 2001. So Kurt Angle against Kane at WrestleMania, there was no reason to do that match. It was truly a waste of Kurt Angle, I agree. On that show, Mr. Perfect was in the opener. It was Rikishi and Too Cool and Albert against Perfect, Test, and Lance Storm. And I don't remember, I'm guessing that was the Sunday Night Heat match because I don't remember that being on the pay-per-view. So he was relegated to Sunday Night Heat in a 6-man tag and his team lost. Why would you stick Mr. Perfect in a meaningless 6-man tag that wasn't even on WrestleMania when you could have done Mr. Perfect against Kurt Angle? I think that could have been a hell of a match.